Welcome students to my class of Manual Economics. In this lecture, we would be talking about the demand forecasting. Demand forecasting, as we know, it's a method of forecasting the future demand of a product. Before discussing, we should know what is the significance of going through the demand forecasting. Demand is the mother of production. Before starting the production, we should be aware of how much to produce, and that how much to produce depends on how much is the demand. So, this is the preliminary step for any company, that it should forecast the demand of the product, because the production and the other decisions are based on the demand forecasting. So, that is why it is really very important to forecast the demand for any marketer, any producer, whether it is producing for large scale or for small scale. But yes, it is more important for a producer who is going to produce on a large scale, because in case of failure, in case of uncertainty, the losses would be very high. So, he should be using the techniques of demand forecasting, and he should be able to apply those techniques. So, let us start the demand forecasting. The demand forecasting is the estimation of future demand of a product in quantity or in rupees under some required set of circumstances for a duration, for a period of time. So, it is estimating the sales in maybe in rupees or dollars or in units for a specified period of time. It is a scientific and analytical estimation, scientific and the analytical estimation of demand, where we analyze the demand under some probable set of circumstances. Here we want to know that how much a product is needed, how much, what is the quantity of a product which is needed, and when it is needed. It means when and where, the market, in which market, in North India, in South India, in Ghaziabad, in Meerut, or in Delhi, or in international market, at what time period, during 6 months, during a year. So, what is the time frame? So, which these things are equally important, that we should calculate the demand for a time period, that when the demand would be there. Here we will be estimating the level of demand, the extent, the magnitude, and the responsiveness of demand. So, all these things also comes under demand forecasting. The objectives of demand forecasting. Why we are concerned to forecast the demand? Because we want to know, we want to plan the production, we want to take some managerial decisions, we want to market the product, we want to sell it, we want to take some decisions related to advertising, etc. So, the number one objective is we want to know what is the production volume to be produced, how much the number of units are to be produced. So, that is based on the demand forecasting. Then for producing that lot, that quantity, we need to have a supply of raw material. So, what should be the optimum raw material which should be purchased? We have to frame a purchasing policy. So, again it is based on the demand forecasting. Then we want to have labor to produce that output, and how much labor would be required? Do we have the sufficient labor or we need to hire it? So, that decision is again based on the demand forecasting. What are the financial requirements? Do we have the machinery, the plant? Do we have the enough money, the working capital, or the long term finance? Do we have it, or we need to borrow it? And if we need to borrow it, then what would be the sources of financing? So, that has to be analyzed, and again that is based on the demand forecasting, because if we are taking these decisions and there is no demand of our product, or the demand is not that which we are expecting, so all the decisions would go faulty and there would be losses for the firm. We want to know that how much we should spend on the advertising, on the promotional activities. We have promotional activities, for example, advertising, we want to expand our money on sales promotional activities. So, these are based on the demand forecasting. For example, if we have forecasted the demand, and we know the demand is not that which we were expecting and which was the goal of the or the objective of the organization, then we can think about like how we can raise the demand. We can be using the advertising strategies, and then we have to allocate the money on the advertising strategy according to the level of demand which we want to create in the market, because advertising is a strategy which is good for increasing the demand of the product. Then coming to the types of demand forecasting. When we are going to forecast the demand, there are different levels, different types of demand forecasting, or we can say there are different scope of this demand forecasting. So, on the basis of level, at what level we are going to forecast the demand? So, it is of three types. Micro level, where we are interested in knowing the demand for a company's product, for a particular company's product, that is called as micro level. When we want to estimate the demand of a generic product for an industry as a whole, for example, for taking the government policies, the government is interested in knowing how much there would be demand of automobiles. What is the demand of automobile sector in country? Then it is at the industry level. If we are interested in knowing the general trend of the economic indicators, like what would be the national income, so we want to forecast the economic variables, then we will say it is at the economy level. So, there are three levels. On the basis of the time period, what time period we have considered for forecasting the demand? Suppose we are interested in knowing the demand for a shorter period of time, like I want to know what would be the demand of my product on New Year. So, then we will be using the techniques which are good for short term forecasting. If we want to know, like we want to allocate our money for establishing new plant, then this type of decision would be based on long term demand forecasting. So, here the time frame is greater than a year. So, for long term, for short term and for long term, these are two types of demand forecasting on the basis of the time period. So, accordingly the technique would be changed as the level, as the time for forecasting is changing. Then the steps of demand forecasting. How do we forecast the demand? So, number one is identify the objective. What is the purpose? Why I am going to forecast? What is the purpose? What is the level at which I am going to forecast? What is the time frame for which I want to forecast the demand? So, these are the objectives. One should be aware, like why we are going to forecast the demand, what is the objective, what is the purpose, what is the time frame. Then accordingly they have to select the technique. So, selecting the technique means we have to analyze what are the factors affecting the demand of my product. What are the different factors? The factors may be, there may be macroeconomic variables, there may be microeconomic variables, they are affecting the demand of the product. For example, in case of consumer durables, income is the most important factor which is affecting the demand. Then how the income is being affected? Income is affected by the economic policies of the government. It means we have to choose a method of demand forecasting where we can analyze the change in the income of the consumer. So, accordingly we need to select the techniques. So, there are different techniques, we have to find out which one is suitable for my purpose, level and time frame. Accordingly I should select the technique. Then accordingly what technique I have taken, accordingly I have to take the data. If it is a qualitative method, we have to take the primary data. If it is a quantitative one, then we have to take the secondary data, and accordingly we will collect it, we will analyze it by using the tools of statistics and the economics. Then we would interpret it, and then it is a kind of feedback, like whether the purpose for which we have initially forecasted the demand, whether it is the demand forecasting is fit for the purpose or not. If it is fit, it means now the demand forecasting is completed, otherwise we have to modify something, we have to change something, maybe the technique, maybe the data collection, and then we have to again take these steps. So, this is how we can forecast the demand of our product. There are different techniques of demand forecasting. So, basically there are two techniques. We will be discussing the basic two techniques of demand forecasting. Number one is called as the subjective or the qualitative method of demand forecasting. What is it? As the name suggests, quality. So, it means there the data on which demand is forecasted, it is not measurable in numbers or in absolute numbers. Yes, we can convert it and we can analyze it, but it is on the basis of some input which is not given in absolute numbers. For example, demand is estimated on the basis of opinions, feelings and judgments of people. What people are thinking, what is their opinion, how they are taking the judgment, like what they believe. Are they going to purchase the product? Do they need the product? Would they buy it? At what price they would buy it? If we want to collect that kind of data of people's opinions, feelings and judgment, then that technique would be called as the subjective method of demand forecasting. So, since we are taking the opinions, feelings and judgments of people, so in that case it would be very time consuming and costly. So, it becomes the drawback of this method. But when we do not have any historical data, we can only rely on people's opinions, feelings and judgments. So, that is the advantage of this method. The quantitative methods. The second type of demand forecasting technique is the quantitative method. Quantitative method, as the name suggests, based on quantities. It means the input on which we are forecasting the demand, it is something which is measurable, which can be given in absolute term. It means it is based on statistical methods of analysis. It is based on the scientific and statistical methods of analysis. So, here we would be applying the statistical methods. So, when we say statistical methods are always more reliable, they always give accurate results because they are not subjective, they are scientific. So, this is the advantage of using the statistical method, but yes, if we do not have the historical data, then it is not possible to use this method. So, what is the drawback of quantitative method? That it is based on historical data. Here the input is historical data, and for a new product we do not have the historical data, then we can use the subjective method. So, it is more reliable, as I have said, it is scientific method, it is more reliable and scientific and accurate, and it is economical as well because it is less time consuming and it is cheaper. So, this is the advantage of the quantitative method. Now, if I ask you what is the drawback? Drawback is that it cannot be used for a product for which we do not have any historical data. So, this is how we can choose any of the methods on the basis of the purpose. What is the purpose? Do we want to forecast the demand for short term or long term? Subjective methods are used for short term forecasting. They are used for the short term forecasting, and quantitative methods are used for forecasting for long term. Generally, it is used for long term. It is good for long term forecasting. So, when our purpose is to forecast the demand for short term, so we may use this technique, and we can also use some of the methods of quantitative technique. When our objective is like we want, like our product is new and it is not having any historical data, we will choose this method because there we can take the opinion of people. But if we have historical data, we can use quantitative method. So, accordingly we can select the technique of demand forecasting. Now, coming to the qualitative techniques of demand forecasting or talking about specific methods of qualitative techniques. So, number one is consumer survey method, where we take survey of the consumer. 2 is opinion poll method, and 3 is market studies and experiments. So, let us discuss them in detail one by one. Consumer survey methods are those where we take the intentions, the opinions of consumers. Those consumers are those people who are going to use the product. So, when we are like we have we know that the consumers are the users of the product. So, they know that whether they will be buying or they will not be buying the product. So, why to rely on anybody else, just to rely on the consumers only. So, here in consumer method we take the opinion, the feelings, the judgments in the form of a survey, like what quantity of the product they would be purchasing at what price, under what circumstances. So, when we take this method, it is called as consumer survey method. It is again of two types. Complete enumeration, it means we have contacted all the possible users, means whatever the possible users of my product, if I contact all of them and I take their intentions, that becomes the complete enumeration or complete survey. For example, census. Second is sample survey, because like for a consumer non-durable good, the number of users, there are n number of users, and it is not possible to contact all of them, because it would be very time consuming and difficult as well. So, what to do? We can take a sample. Sample means the representatives of the population which can give their opinion for the purchase of the product. So, here we only take the intentions of a sample, we contact a selected respondents to answer the questionnaire, and then we generalize those conclusion to the whole population. Then second method is opinion poll method. Here we take the opinion of not the consumers, of anybody else who has the knowledge of the market. They may be the salespeople or they may be the market experts. Market experts are they may be the professional bodies, or they may be the consultants or advisors who are there in the market to provide these kinds of services. So, number one method under this is sales force opinion method. Here we take the opinion of the salespeople. Why salespeople? Because salespeople are in the direct contact of the consumer, and they are able to understand when the consumer is going to purchase, when he is not going to purchase, because they are taking the feedback from the consumer. So, we rely on sales force and we take their opinion and they give their estimates of demand, that becomes the sales force opinion method. It becomes less costly because only the salespeople is involved, and we are also we are already paying them salary. So, we need not to pay them extra, and it is very time effective as well. Then second method is expert opinion method. Sometimes salespeople are very biased, they may underestimate or overestimate the demand according to their personal gain or loss. So, in that case what we do? We take the opinion of the market experts. Market experts are the professional bodies or the advisors, those who are there in the market, and they have adequate knowledge of the market, like how the consumers would be behaving. They are the experts, they know what is the consumer behavior, how they would be behaving in case the producer is changing some of the variables of the product. So, then we rely on the experts. The third technique is Delphi technique, which is a refined technique of expert opinion method, where not a single expert, but a number of experts are being contacted and they are being provided the demand estimates of others along with the assumptions. Now, the question, now what is the task? Task is to come to a convergent view of the demand estimates. What happens is, in Delphi techniques there are number of experts and they have divergent, they have different views of demand forecasting. So, what we do in this technique? We give them the others demand forecast and their assumptions, and then we ask them to generalize them. So, what we want? We want them to come to a common conclusion where we can know the demand would be increasing or decreasing. So, divergent views has to be converted into the convergent view under the Delphi technique, which is very good because a number of experts are there. So, we may not miss any of the point, any of the macro or the microeconomic variable, and it would be good, but yes, it would be costly. Why? Because the number of experts are there and they would charge their fee. Then market studies and experiment. Under this, it is of two types, test marketing and market simulation. What we do in market study, we under the test marketing, we change any of the variable of the product in some of the market segments. Like we have changed the price in NCR, but not in another market, and then we have analyzed what is the change in demand in NCR, and then we calculate the price elasticity of demand, and then we are going to forecast the demand in case the price is increased or price is decreased. This is called as test marketing. Then market simulation, in it is kind of experiment where we create a simulated environment of market. The consumers are selected and they are sent to a simulated environment which is similar to market, and they are displayed a number of product. They are being provided sum of money as well to purchase some goods and services. So, here we are analyzing the behavior, the change in their behavior, how they are going to frame their purchasing policy, what product they are going to purchase, what they are leaving and why they are leaving, why they are purchasing. So, if we are analyzing their behavior in some simulated environment kind of experiment, it becomes market simulation, otherwise it is called as test marketing. So, these two techniques becomes costly and they can have long term impact on the demand, that becomes the drawback. These techniques they just use for short term demand forecasting. So, then how to forecast the demand for long term? We use the another method, that is the quantitative method. Under the quantitative method, we take the input as the historical data of the demand or the sales. So, number one technique is the trend projection method, where we analyze the trend, the historical trend, and then we forecast the future trend of the sales or the demand for a particular product. So, what are the methods? It can be forecasted by the graphical method, where we plot a graph and we forecast the demand. We put the historical values of the sales, and then these are the historical values, and then we plot, we find out a trend. What is the trend? Trend is rising or falling. So, if we say there is uptrend, it means in future the demand would be increasing, and this is how we forecast the demand. Second is the least square method. Under the least square method, we try to find out a equation which can be best fit for forecasting the demand. So, generally this least square method has equations. The equation is given as that x is equals to a plus b y, where x is the demand and y is the and y becomes the historical value of the sales. Then we forecast the demand on the basis of the equations, and then we solve it and find out the forecasted value. Next is the Box-Jenkins method, which is good for forecasting the demand of a product which has seasonal variations. So, for forecasting this demand, we use the averages. Moving averages is the best method for forecasting this demand. So, we apply this technique which is called as moving averages. Next method is barometric. Barometer is a kind of indicator which we use to forecast the weather condition, the atmospheric pressure. So, that the same concept is applied here in economics, that we select some of the indicators, economic indicators, we create an index of these indicators, and then we forecast what would be the general trend of the economic variables in the market. So, we have three kinds of indicators: leading, those variables which move ahead of others. For example, Sensex moves ahead than the other economic variables. Lagging, which is a laggard, which moves behind others. Coincidental is that indicator which is moving along with other variables. So, the leading indicators are the variables, they are moving ahead. So, we identify what is the leading indicator for my product's demand, and then we analyze that how the leading indicator is behaving, then how the demand would also be behaving. So, this is how we apply the concept of barometric method. Then the last one is the econometric method. Econometric method is the use of statistics and economics with each other. We apply the statistical tools plus economic theories to forecast the demand. So, this is of two types: by regression method. Under the regression method, The regression method is based on the relationship between two variables, where one becomes the dependent and second becomes the independent variable, and it is given in the form of equation. These if there are two variables, we will say it is bivariate. If there are more than two variables, we will say it is multivariate. For example, this is the equation given here. Y is the demand and x is the factor on which demand is based. For example, x is price. So, this is our equation, and when we solve this equation, we find out the value of A and B, and we put the future value of x, and then we can forecast the future value of y. So, this is how we can forecast the demand by using the regression method. Then simultaneous equation method. This is the simultaneous equation method means that here in this equation we have only analyzed the relationship, what is the impact of independent variable on the dependent variable. But in reality what happens, that independent variable also affects the independent variable. It means there is two-way impact, not a single way impact. So, we have to take number of equations, not a single equation to analyze the impact. We take a number of equations, and these equations are developed simultaneously, that is why the name is. And there are different kind of variables in this. One is endogenous variable, those which are within the model, which are called as the controlled variables, and there are variables which are outside the model and which are called as uncontrollable. So, we take these variables and then we analyze what are their impact on each other in the form of equations, and then we solve the equation with the help of regression models. Then we say it is simultaneous equation model. For example, it is used in forecasting the national income. The simultaneous equation method is being used. Now, as we have discussed all the different techniques of demand forecasting, which one is good? What is the criteria? So, for analyzing the demand forecasting technique, the demand forecasting should be simple. The technique should be simple to use, easy to understand and easy to apply, then it would be good. It should be easy to use, then it means that we are able to apply it and it is clearly identifiable what are the particular steps. It should be durable. What is the meaning of durable here? It means that the results of the demand forecasting, they should be valid for a longer period of time. It means there is some change in the economy that should not affect the results which I have calculated through a technique. It should be equally good if there is some change in the economy, some change in any of the economic variable. It should be accurate, the result should be accurate, otherwise the whole process would be faulty and it would be a huge loss to the marketer, to the forecaster. There should be availability of data. We should be means like we are going to apply the quantitative techniques, but we do not have the data. We do not have the historical time series data of sales. Then how to apply it? Then it would not be good for us. So, what we have to do? We will choose the qualitative method. So, accordingly, what kind of data is there? Is that available? Can we collect the data? So, these things we should analyze to apply any particular method of demand forecasting. So, these are the criteria of good demand forecasting. So, like what we have discussed in this slide, we have talked about the demand forecasting, what is the significance, what are the objectives. We have talked about the different types of demand forecasting, and we have also discussed about the different techniques of demand forecasting. There are two techniques, qualitative and quantitative techniques of demand forecasting. So, if I ask you what is the difference, now I am sure you are able to understand the differences between two techniques of demand forecasting, qualitative and quantitative. So, qualitative is used for short term and quantitative is used for long term. Qualitative is costly, quantitative is cheaper. Qualitative is time consuming, quantitative is time effective. Qualitative needs the people who can collect the data, who can conduct the surveys and interviews, and quantitative needs those experts who are able to apply the statistical techniques. qualitative technique would be good for forecasting the demand of a new product, and quantitative technique would be good for forecasting the demand of an existing product. So, accordingly means on analyzing the pros and cons of both the techniques, we should be able to use the particular method of demand forecasting. It should be economical, it means it should be cost effective. So, I hope that the demand forecasting concept was clearly understandable. With these words, I am going to sign off. Thank you and be safe, be happy.